So it's so important to understand your personality type in terms of just everything. So, welcome to the 30-day challenge, day number 2. And it's later in the day. There's so many excuses that I could make, but at the end of the day, I am what they call a pilot. What does that mean? When we think about the flight assessment, shout out to Dr. Eric Thomas for creating the flight assessment. And if you're familiar with the DISC assessment, the D in the DISC is equivalent to a pilot. So Dr. Eric Thomas took the DISC and associated it with characters that we could relate to. I'm not going to go into that. That's not the point. But the point right now is I am very competitive. And the crazy thing is, when I set a goal, like I'm doing everything in my power to achieve that goal. Any other time I'd have been like, you know what? I said I was going to go live, but I'm not going to because I don't feel like it. I didn't put my face on today. So shout out to Jose, the course creator, the Black dude with the Spanish name, because what did he say? Do it ugly. Let's do it when just put out the content. So it was a powerful message in the book that we're reading today. We're reading this book for 30 days. Jump in, right? If you're like, I need to know a little bit more about this marketing game. The book is called Duct Tape Marketing and the World's Most Practical Small Business Marketing Guide. Even that little caption, there's so many nuggets in that by John, and I'm not going to butcher his last name, Jantsch. So here's the nugget for today, and it's so powerful. So I was like, I gotta go on, I gotta tell the people about this nugget. So it's on page 21, and it's talking about the ideal prospect profile. And I know we've heard this, that we need to identify our avatar. How old are they? Where do they do community? We've heard all of the things. And so, but he does a really good job of taking it to the next level. So for the ideal prospect profile, this is the equation. It's so good. This is the equation. Physical description, that's the physical description of your person, plus what they want, plus their problem, plus, and these next two are the ones that I really want us to double click into. How they buy, plus the best way to communicate with them equals your ideal prospect. So we pretty much heard the physical description, like how old are they? What's their race? Where do they do community? We've heard those, and then what do they want, right? And then their problem. We're here to solve problems, because if you can solve their problem, then it's a no-brainer for them to buy from you. But here is the thing that I really want to double click on is how they buy. So when you think about when you think about yourself personally, how do you buy? However, if your niche market is not your age group, then you're looking at the wrong data. Exactly. So if you are aiming to, your niche is 18 to 30 and you're 45, you've got to be thinking about how do the 18 to 30 buy, or whatever age I said, instead of your age group, right? That's a game changer. How do they buy? And then the best way to communicate with them. So you might be over here doing TikTok videos, but they communicate best via email. Or you might be on Instagram, but they communicate best on Facebook. Like, this is a game changer, because we're doing all these other things and we're calling it marketing. But at the end of the day, we really need to get into the mind of our market. And one of the things he said as well is, are there enough people in your market to sustain your business? So these are all amazing questions that we need to ask ourselves in order to make sure that we are focusing on the people that we are supposed to serve and solving their problems instead of serving ourselves. So if you are not making the sales that you want to make, evaluate some of these things and then transform your thinking, transform your marketing strategy, because chances are you might be focusing on the wrong things. Oh my goodness. That was such a game changer for me that I had to come on here and say, because I committed to going live for 30 days and I committed to this 30-day challenge. So that's why I'm here. But with that game changer of information, how can you use that in your business? And just, we are our own brand. So if you think about yourself personally, show up on LinkedIn, show up as well as far as like who you are, and establish your own brand. So that, I don't want to say this, if you were to get this 60-day notice, and I don't know where this is coming from, but if you were to get the 60-day notice from your employer and then you've been just like absent from LinkedIn, because when you send that resume, the people who are making these decisions are coming on LinkedIn and checking out your profile. So build your own brand, market yourself, put yourself out there. You know, when you're doing things at work, put it out there on social media, especially LinkedIn, because the decision makers are on LinkedIn. But to not chase that squirrel and to come back to what we were talking about, marketing. How do you need to think differently to make sure that your messaging is reaching your ideal client? And spend some time thinking about it. I know I have been spending some time thinking about this ideal client and making sure that my messaging is for them, and making sure that how they buy. Like, I got to think about that. Like, I don't necessarily know that I know, how they buy. So really double click into this marketing, this figuring out your ideal profile client, the ideal prospect profile, especially if you're in sales and you are realizing, you know what has got me to this point is not going to take me to the next level. So that's our thought for today. This is day 2 of the 30-day challenge. I'm Coach Dana Spencer, and see you tomorrow.